Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another live show where we go through all of the latest Chelsea news, everything regarding the club. Some of the things you may have missed throughout the day, we're going to catch in the evening to do with our players, our transfer updates, our striker situation as well. Also, a little look at the goalkeeping department. There's been a number of updates that have come out since I did the show at lunchtime. And as always, Chelsea like to keep us entertained. There are plenty of things to go through. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. Obviously, I know there's been a couple of Premier League games going on. I haven't actually checked the scores since full time as well. So let's quickly check that out. What have we had today? I know Arsenal were beating Fulham last time I checked. So Arsenal beat Fulham. Wolves beat West Ham. Nottingham Forest beat United. Is that full time? Is it full time? It looks like it's full time, yeah. Yeah. Full time. So it's all done. It's all done in the Premier League. I didn't actually get to watch any of the matches, so let me know if there's anything that I missed. But it seems like basically what you would expect anyway. United lost, Arsenal beat Fulham, and to be fair, Wolves beating West Ham, you could say that's a bit of a shock, but they've been having good momentum recently as well. So yeah, the Premier League is back, guys. The Premier League is back in business. Big up to you, Daniel. He says, I never want Felix last summer because he was a waste of money. We should have got a striker. Yeah, we are going to be touching on Joao Felix today. He's a player we didn't really talk enough about earlier on, but this is a player that some people really like and some people despise him. Now, I will always say that I thought this particular player was a player that could help Chelsea. And when we brought him in, even though we slightly overpaid for him, 45 million is probably not worth that. If we're being realistic, he's probably worth about 10, 15 million less. So I would say around 30 to 35 million is a realistic price based on the player's ability. But the reason he costs 45 is because of, the fact that Atletico paid so much for him and they were never going to get rid of him really cheap. But they managed to offload a player that they didn't want. And quite frankly, I think it was good business from Atletico Madrid's perspective, because now, obviously, it's not good that they lost money, but it's good in the sense that they got 45 million. Because can you see Chelsea getting 45 million for this player right now? The answer has to be no. I don't see many clubs lining up to take Joao Felix's signatures. I don't see much interest. I don't hear clubs talking about him. There are obviously options of where he could go. He could stay at Chelsea. He could move abroad. He could go out on loan, or he could even have a permanent transfer. But I would argue that's going to be very unlikely, because we won't sell a player for less than we bought him for. We are not that type of football club that's willing to take a loss on players. We want to bring players in. The whole model is bringing players in and then not guaranteeing, but the majority of the time selling those players for a profit, or finding a way to make money on those players. Vega's a great example as well. The loan fee that we got for Vega was about 5 million, right? And we paid about 12, 14. So if you put him out on loan for 2 more years and basically did the same thing that they did this season, you would make your money back for Vega just through the loans. And then you end up selling him. You're going to make money. So you can keep the player, you can sell the player. You're in a position where the player is profitable. And that's one of the things we don't have with Felix. We don't have the upper hand financially. We don't have the upper hand in terms of the player. His relationship with the manager must clearly be strained. Otherwise, I don't see why he would go to Milan after only signing for Chelsea 6 months earlier, if he didn't have a problem with Maresca as well. So there's a number of things with Joao Felix. Demi says, I want Felix to stay. Why do you want him to stay? Big up to you, Anthony, as well. Hey, Alex, I hope you guys are able to find a buyer for Felix because he was been playing like crap for us at AC Milan. And Kyle Walker had to knock some sense into him during the Napoli game. Yeah, I saw that clip as well. I don't know if I'll see if I can pull it up as well. I don't think I've seen anything like it. Let's see if I can. Just pass the ball. We are not Messi. Here we go. So yeah, you can see that. Kyle Walker basically explaining to Joao Felix what we already knew. But just in case you didn't know, Joao, your teammates are not Messi. You are certainly not Messi. You're Messi with the football because you don't control it that well and you don't distribute well and you're not really doing an awful lot off the ball either. Presumably, I'm guessing, Anthony, you're a Milan fan. You can tell me what is he actually bringing to the table at AC Milan? Is he bringing flair, creativity? Is he a goal threat? Is he a runner? Is he whipping in crosses? What are we seeing from this guy? I'm asking you. I'm not watching many Milan games, so Anthony, please let me know if you're still watching. Tim said, just saw a video of Walker having a go at him at halftime. Yeah, that's the one I just played. Felix, please come back so we can sell Mudryk. He's worth nothing to us now. Well, hold your breath because you never know. Innocent until proven guilty, as far as I'm concerned. And, if Mudryk comes back and he's innocent, then I think we all need to, have our hands up. And anyone who criticized Mudryk, you need to say, I'm sorry, mate. You didn't deserve that. And we can all agree that Mudryk is obviously a player that could be significantly better than what he is, especially for the money we paid. But also, he's a player who has had something to offer this season. And he was another player that you would argue under Maresca has improved. One of the players I believe Pochettino really mismanaged. I was not happy with the way Pochettino managed Mudryk. And I think Maresca's been better at that. But then again, I say that, Maresca's been playing him in Conference League games and stuff like that. Pochettino probably would have done the same thing if he had Conference League. Because if we hadn't have had those games, Mudryk would have never played. So that's something to think about. Evening, Tom. I wouldn't mind staying. It gives us back and needed for next year. What's your opinion on the downfall of Brandon Williams, former Man United? Could having him as a free help with depth? Oh God, no, absolutely not, Tom. I couldn't think of anything worse. That's not even Premier League standard, let alone Chelsea standard. I don't see many Premier League clubs queuing up for Brandon Williams. So why would we? And also, he doesn't strike me as a player who's going to offer anything to his team. He's inexperienced. He's never really achieved much. He has attitude problems. We know he has off-the-field problems, which is one of the reasons why he's had this downfall. And quite frankly, it just makes no sense. So that's a big fat no from me. Good evening to you as well, Tyler. I hope you're doing well. Tom says, and then if he does become better, sell him for a profit. Well, listen, if it's a free transfer, bring him in and sell him for 1 million straight away within the first week. How about that? Daniel says Chelsea should get another multi-club to send more young players. Well, if Strasbourg finish in the Champions League, there's certainly an option to accelerate that, because if Strasbourg finish in the top 5, what we'll find is that the ownership will have to relinquish control and they'll have to place Strasbourg into a trust, and they won't be able to loan players to and from Strasbourg, which is actually a nightmare for us because Strasbourg's been really, really good and key to developing these young players. But also it's a testament to the fact that it's worked and they're clearly developing because Strasbourg are performing exceptionally. And we're not just talking about one player. 2 players that come to mind straight away. Santos and Petrovic having a fantastic season at Strasbourg. I went to Stamford Bridge for the first time ever today. I was on a high, but we do need a new stadium for such a club. I'm not going to lie. You're not entirely wrong, mate. And the stadium is, that's a complicated one to explain, but plenty to get into, especially with the financials. Big up to you, Stephen. We're selling a player we just bought this season, Clown Lake Genius, but we won't be able to sell him, Stephen, not for a profit. So, I mean, I don't know how genius that is. The maths ain't mathing, as some people would say. Let's see what Demi has to say. I think he's a good player. He's just inconsistent and can help us in the future. Didn't Igbali praise Milan's ownership previously? Another club ruined by the American ownership. Yes, he did praise Milan, but he was in the same room as the Milan owner at the time. So I don't think that if he was in the same room, he's going to say Milan is shite. But ultimately, all they care about is money. And even Milan, I'm sure their ownership will find a way to take money out of that club, as all the Americans do. They do like it. What did John Terry do last night? I have no idea. Big up to you, Jordan, as well. I hope you're doing well. It's crazy that Chelsea fans nowadays pretend to give a fuck about Chelsea finances. Who cares? It's not our money. 10 years ago, all we cared about was winning and not finances. That's a great question. And, you know, the truth is, part of the reason that we care, or some people care, is because it's a lot more public than it was. And we didn't have social media as much 10 years ago. And people weren't really interested. And it wasn't mainstream. You know, maybe it would come up, but it wasn't this massive talking point that it is today. But you've got to look at the way football's gone and the direction it's headed. Unfortunately, it's become, you know, a much more corporate sport than it was 10 years ago, i.e. a lot more corporate seats. You get less of the typical match day fan coming to games. You're having tourists and, you know, fans who are basically having to spend an awful lot of money for a so-called better experience, which then ruins the experience of everyone else in the stadium and the players because the atmosphere goes down. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, you know, because all this stuff is on social media, of course people are going to talk about it. And it's not like this stuff is, you know, circulating all the time. But I mean, today's a relevant day because we know that Chelsea recorded a profit. Now, profits may not have been as important 10 years ago, but with FFP and PSR, that's such a massive thing these days. It's you know, it's important to be within those rules. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I actually think PSR has been quite bad for football in a lot of ways, and FFP is holding clubs back. Newcastle's a great example of it. You know, they come in, they've got great owners. They probably want to spend more and more money, but they can't. So, yeah, I think that's certainly something that can be addressed. Hi, Alex. Me and my mum just come on watching. It's a late one tonight, isn't it? I hope you are well. Yes, it is a late one. I worked until 8, had dinner, and then Kev was actually going to jump on the show with me, but he decided, well, he didn't decide. He's got a kid, and the kid is not sleeping, so he's on bedtime duty. Big up to you as well, anyway. Alex desired Doué to Chelsea would bang with Esteval coming too far. Yes, I agree with that. Doué from PSG is fantastic. He's brilliant. I saw that game against Liverpool. I was so impressed. I can't believe the technical ability that some of these young players have. And we talk about our players having potential, and then I see these other potentially good players who are already good. And I'm thinking, hang on a second. People are talking a lot, but I'm not seeing a lot. Speaking of free transfers, isn't Aina's contract running out? I haven't got a clue, man. I haven't got a clue. So, Anthony, you're talking about Joao Felix at Milan, saying he has not brought much added benefit to our attack since we signed him towards the end of the January window. He was supposed to add firepower to the attack, so he's not really contributing. Is that what you're trying to say? Well, I mean, that's quite obvious, isn't it? I have to say, I'm not even surprised. This is a player who's jumped around an awful lot and never really been accepted anywhere. And it has to make you think it can't be the club's fault. It can't be Barcelona's fault. It can't be Atletico Madrid's fault. It can't be Chelsea's fault. Can't be AC Milan's fault. There has to be a problem with the player. And when you look at what Joao Felix has done, listen, he's not played a ridiculous amount of minutes, but he's played enough minutes. You've got to take your chance ultimately. When you look at what Joao Felix has actually brought to his teams this season, it's very underwhelming. Okay, let's look at Joao Felix on transfer market, for example. And for some reason, my screen's gone white. Why has my screen gone white? Fuck's sake. There you go. So this is what you can see when you look at the season that Joao Felix has had. Let's look at the Premier League first. We'll look at Chelsea, and then we can understand why he went to Milan. 12 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 yellow cards. Now, you think, okay, that's not great, especially if he started all 12 of those games. But he only made the starting 11 14% of the time. And each of those games, have a guess which games those were. We're not talking about United here. It's not City away. He started against Ipswich away, Leicester away, and Southampton away. Those are the only games that Joao Felix has started in. So from the player's perspective, I'm certainly not defending his attitude here. You're looking for minutes in the Premier League and you're only featuring against the 3 worst teams by a country mile. In my opinion, that if I'm a player and I feel like I am good enough, and I'm not saying Joao Felix is good enough, but let's just try and get into his head. If I feel like I'm good enough to start in those other games, or at least have minutes against, let's just say your Evertons, your Wolves, these other teams, whatever it is, starting, I'd feel a little bit hard done by. But he didn't just play in Premier League games, even though he come off the bench a few times. He played in the Conference League games as well. Played 5 games, scored 4 goals, 0 assists. He's in the starting 11 50% of the time. So don't know what 50% of 5 is. He started 2.5 games. How does that make sense? Transfer market, please figure that one out. He played 61% of the minutes available and he was involved in 15% of the goals scored. So a better output, but obviously he's playing against worse teams. FA Cup, he played against Barrow and Morecambe, if I'm not wrong, and he scored a double against Barrow. One of them was a free kick, another goal as well. If I'm not wrong, I actually got the goal on the channel as well. Yes, I did. Here you go. This is the goal he scored against Barrow. And that is not me speaking French, just so you know. Bloody hell, ref. Taking your time. Sort it out. Ridiculous. I don't know. Is that a good free kick or should the goalkeeper have done better? I'll be real. I'm not going to lie. I feel like the keeper should have saved that. Yeah, for me, the keeper's got to save that. I don't know. It just felt like he was already there. And then the ball just went past him. Let me know if I'm wrong. Am I being harsh here? Maybe I am. Who knows? So, yeah, I mean, that's one of the goals I got of Joao Felix. But it was a free kick goal. It was a goal, nonetheless. You know, you can't dispute that. So he, in the FA Cup, he got one appearance. One of his goals was against Barrow. He got another one. I'm sure he scored 2 against Barrow. Started all of those games, played 100% of those minutes, scored in 40% of the goals. And then the Carabao Cup, he played 2, started 2, and he got an assist. One was against Newcastle, and the other one was against Morecambe, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, underwhelming, to say the least, those stats. Yeah. Also, please explain to me what this John Terry thing is. Like, I'm just confused about what did John Terry do last night? I genuinely don't know. Big up to you, Jordan. We've already got that one. We've read that one. We're selling Felix in the summer and bringing in another AC Milan player, and that player is Rachel Leao. This isn't the WSL, my friend. You mean Rafael Leao? I mean, if Rachel Leao is a new player on the books, let me know. But I know what you mean. He's asking for 80 million. Chelsea are not going to pay that. It's ridiculous, especially for a player who's out of form as well. I agree. Stephen says Felix's next destination is either the Turkish league or Saudi. Well, we are going to talk about that later as well. We're going to talk about the different leagues that he could go to. Get him off the books for Chelsea, you say. Fair. Interchanging assets is not a legal profit. They can hide anywhere they want. I figured even journalists are refusing to talk about the 1.2 billion debt. Well, it's going to become a theme at some point. Everybody knows it's there. I don't know why people aren't. This is public information. Rachel says, can you wish my mum a happy birthday, please? No, it's not an April Fool. It's really her birthday. All right. Well, what's your mum's name? And I'll wish her a happy birthday. Absolutely. Yes, Stephen. You corrected him as well. That did make me laugh. Rachel Leao. That's good. That is good. I've never heard that one before. I'm trying to think of another good one off the top of my head. Who else have we got? Good woman's name that I can put in a Chelsea name. Who have we got? That's quite hard to think of off the top of my head. It's actually quite difficult. Yeah, I'm milking it. I don't know. It would have been funny if I could have figured something out straight away. Felix hasn't worked out for Barcelona or Atletico Madrid, and AC Milan, the only team he succeeded at was Benfica. Well, you could argue he'd done well at Barcelona. I heard good things when he was there. Absolutely. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at. And then he went to Italy, and this is what he's done in Syria. He's played 8 games. He started 63% of those games. He's been involved in 66% of the minutes available, 8% of the goals he's participated in, and that's only with the 1 assist. So 1 GA in 8, 1 yellow card. Did he do any better in the Coppa Italia? The answer is yes, actually. He came off the bench and he scored a goal. So that's good. But is that good enough? Not really. Not really. That is not going to cut it. That's not going to get you a loan move. It's certainly not going to get you a permanent move. I don't see how. I just don't see how that works, to be honest with you. The math in. We've said that a number of times, and we will continue to say it because, again, we're asking for 70 million pounds for Nkunku. Hang on a second. The guy was injured the whole of last season and hasn't really performed this season under Maresca. I mean, he was scoring goals when he was playing, and then obviously he stopped being played, started being played as a winger, however that works, because that's definitely how you get the best out of Nkunku. And now he's not performing, and we seem to think that we can make 20 or 30 million pounds of profit. That's not how it works, Chelsea. Players go up in value if they perform, not if they, whatever it is that we do. Pass the ball sideways and backwards. Is that performing? Maybe. I don't want to criticize Maresca's system too much because that might be what he wants. And we know that's what he wants. But you do have to score goals and keep clean sheets as well, guys. You've got to do more than that. So yeah, that's what we're seeing from Joao Felix in terms of his individual stats this season. But then the question is, like, is this something that we've seen? Is this a reoccurring theme? Like, maybe I'm missing something here. What did he do at his other clubs? And, you know, has he been given a chance? You know, what's the situation here? So again, if you look at the player as a whole and you say, okay, what has he been bringing to the teams that he's playing for? This is what you can look at. You can look at all the teams that Joao Felix has played for, the stats by clubs. You got Atletico Madrid in there, Barcelona, Benfica, Chelsea. You've even got the B team for Benfica and the under-19s, and Milan. Okay, you can see the amount of minutes that are played on the far right, the red cards, the second yellows that turned into red, yellow cards, assists, goals, and then games involved in. Okay, it doesn't necessarily mean starts. All right, so one game could be a 3-minute appearance off the bench. We don't know, but we'll just presume that he's starting a lot of these games, or he's featuring a lot. So he played 131 times for Atletico Madrid, and he got 34 goals and 18 assists. Now, you tell me if that is good enough. You tell me. That's the club he spent the most time at. He's played 7,800 minutes for that club. And Benfica, who obviously played for a period, he didn't even play half that. So he spent the bulk of his time at Atletico Madrid. So let's figure out the percentage of that as well. I'm intrigued to know the percentage because I think that's important as well. Out of that's actually not bad. That's not bad. 52 GA in 131 games for Atletico Madrid. That's a percentage of... That's a 40% return. It's not bad. Am I missing a trick here? So you're telling me that Joao Felix was involved in 40% of goals in games that he played? Sorry, that's not what I'm trying to say. He scored 34 goals and got 18 assists. That's 52. 52 as a percentage out of 131 is 40%, 39%. So that's pretty good, if I'm honest. I wasn't actually expecting it to be that high. For Barcelona, again, it was not a bad return. So there has to be an underlying issue here. So actually, I'm impressed with this stats of Madrid in that sense. Barcelona, he had 16 GA in 44 games. I heard good things about Felix at that point. Chelsea, he's played 40 games, 11 goals, 2 assists. And Milan, 11 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. So the trajectory is downwards, if we're being honest with ourselves here. The trajectory seems to be downwards. I would like to ask you this as well, guys. Is a 13 GA in 40 games, is that acceptable to you? Is that good enough? I don't know. Personally, I would say no. That's not good enough. Be interesting to see what you have to say. Michelle, happy birthday. I hope you're doing very well. And thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. And I hope you've had a wonderful day. And you got a nice card and maybe even a nice cake as well. Happy birthday to you, Michelle. Daniel, I don't want Delap or Sesko at Chelsea. We need a proper and proven striker. Well, I don't have an issue with Delap, to be honest, because I think he has proven himself to be capable of playing in the Premier League. but there's only so much you can do at Ipswich. Like, look at the table, and then you have to almost, take some of what we hear about Delap with a pinch of salt, because, Diego Costa could be playing, a prime Diego Costa could be playing for Ipswich, and he'd struggle to score goals because of the team he's in. Ipswich are here. Like, they are way down there. 18th in the table, 17 points. They're going down. All right, they're going down. They were the one team that I thought could probably stay up, and their form in recent games, they've drawn one and they've lost all the others. Still better than Leicester and Southampton, but you're not going to compete with Wolves. You're certainly not going to compete with West Ham in that respect. You've got to do more. So I don't have an issue with the signing of Delap, especially because it came out today that Delap, the numbers came out, didn't they? Here we go. He has a release clause tied to Ipswich being relegated in the region of 40 million. There's competition between Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Newcastle, and Man City as well, who have a buyback option. Now, there will be some of you that think, hang on a second, we're competing with Man City for this player and Liverpool as well. We're in trouble here. And Newcastle. Let's just play it out like this. You've obviously got the club side, and then you've got the player side. Now, Ipswich are going to take that 40 million from whoever. I'm sure they don't really care. But Man City get first dibs. I think Delap turns down Man City because he doesn't want to be second fiddle to Haaland. I think that he turns down Newcastle because he doesn't want to be second fiddle to Isak. Because I also think that Isak stays at Newcastle. I don't think he leaves. Especially now that they have European football. And potentially could have Champions League football. I'm not saying they will, but it's potential. Then we've got us and Liverpool, right? And I think Liverpool will be our biggest rivals on this deal. But again, it depends what they do with their own striker. They have Nunes. And if they can't offload him, then they will not bring Liam Delap into the club. And both clubs have a pretty good record in terms of not overpaying players when they come in straight away. Liverpool have a really high wage bracket at the moment, but that's players that they've retained. I don't think they're just dishing out these massive contracts straight away. Obviously, they will do it like any club, but what they did is they put Van Dijk on a new deal, they put Mo Salah on a new deal. They're just basically extending their best players, which is a great strategy. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to spend money if you've already got good players at your disposal. But we are not in that position, okay? We are in a position where we are quite frankly desperate for a striker. And if you are telling me that you would be disappointed with bringing in Liam Delap, then I say to you, I think you're spoiled. Because this is not 2005, people, where Chelsea have 2 or 3 of the best players in the world in each position. This is 2025, and football has moved on, and we've just got to be a little bit more smart. I am totally for the signing of Victor Osimhen. I would love it if we could get involved with Gyökeres, although I'd argue that his qualities aren't necessarily what we need. I'd say we'd probably lean more towards Osimhen in that respect, because you want something different to what Jackson offers. So then Liam Delap is one of the best options after that. And Sesko doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. I don't even look at Sesko and see he's in the conversation. I see Jonathan David popping up in the chat. I think Jonathan David, again, could be an interesting option off of a free. I think if we have ambition and we want depth, you maybe look to bring in 2 strikers, and the most financially viable in that case is Liam Delap and Jonathan David, who can get on a free. And the way you win that transfer is giving him a nice wage, like we did with Tosin. That's why Tosin decided to join Chelsea over Newcastle. We offered him 120 grand a week, so more than they did. So that's an option. I'm not saying we have to do it. I'm not saying we should do it. It's an option. But I am saying that I'm happy with it. I would be happy with the lap. That is enough for me to look at this Chelsea team and think he's going to help us move in the right step, in the right direction. The lap has proved more than a lot of other strikers that we have been linked with. And the other thing that he proves is he's realistic. Okay, Osimhen can't agree personal terms, even if we agree a fee. And Gyökeres wants a guarantee of Champions League football, which we may not deliver on. We could, but we might not. So those two deals, straight off the back, they have big repercussions. Not repercussions, that's the wrong word. But there's setbacks that can affect those deals. The lap, whether we're in the Conference League, the Europa League, most likely the Europa League, because we win the conference, and potentially even the Champions League, the lap, I think, would pick Chelsea. And I think that would be a club that will work well. On top of the fact that we know he has a relationship with Maresca from previous experience at Man City. So this is a deal that's realistic and it's tangible. Financially, his wages aren't high. We can double, if not triple his wage. That takes care of that. And, you know, he's coming to a top club where he's going to get game time. He knows he's going to play. But he's still going to have competition with Jackson. But competing with Nicholas Jackson is not the same as competing with Erling Haaland. I think we can all agree with that. What? Charlie met Andre Santos? Did he? I spoke to Charlie today. He didn't tell me that. When did he meet Santos? I'm looking at that now. Charlie loves a little post. He loves a cheeky Twitter post. Where? I'm not seeing that anywhere. I don't see it. Is this April Fool's or something? Yeah, you got my hopes up. Coke and fries. Hello, big up to you, my friend. What Chelsea is doing to some of the football prodigies is extremely bad. Which prodigies are we looking at in particular? Although I can certainly agree that the way we treat a lot of our players is appalling. If Chelsea are going for young talent, then we lack two of the best proven and successful, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz from Juventus. The thing is, though, proven means that the price tag is also going to be significantly higher. So let's just say we spend, what do you think Arda Güler is worth? A young player, you're saying that, right? These guys aren't going to go for less than 60, 70, 80 million. Some of them higher. Look at Yamal, for example, Barcelona. A lot of money. So everyone's saying go for the best young talents, but we already know they're the best. So they're not just up and coming players. They're players that are currently performing. Just like any player who's 25 or 28. The only difference is their age. You think, God, they can do this for a long time. They've got a great future ahead of them. We don't do those type of signings. We will go in for players and ultimately gamble on the fact that they can perform for us, but we've never seen them perform at the highest level before any other team. And that's why we pay, we do pay premiums for these players, but it's nothing compared to what they would cost if they were proven. Basically, instead of buying Victor Osimhen, we're looking to buy the next Victor Osimhen. That's what we're looking at. And we would only bring in Victor Osimhen if he fit into our structure. That's the same with everything. I mean, it's a B-Tech signing if you compare it to Osimhen and Gyökeres, sure. But I just gave you, the reasons earlier why those deals may not happen. And let's just say that we didn't finish in the Champions League. None of those players come to us. So then you still want to sign a striker, right? Or do you go down the route of not signing a striker because the strikers you're linked with, you're not happy with? Is that the, yeah. It's on the community. Have I got to go on the YouTube community to find this out? God. I'm going to go on the Blue Brothers community chat. All right. Oh, my God. That's awesome. Ah, fucking no, he didn't meet him today. That's at the bridge. Go on, let's share Charlie's post just so you know what I'm talking about. Andre Santos, am I ready for Chelsea? Yes, but the two clubs and my agent will discuss it at the end of the season. For the moment, the focus is on Strasbourg. 7 games to go. Our goal is to finish as high as possible, but we have to stay united. Qualifying for the Champions League would be a great goal for us and for the fans. So yeah, big up to Charlie and the Blues Brothers community, which I'm obviously not a part of because didn't see the bloody posts. But yeah, have a bit of, we've got our own community going. Charlie's a part of it as well. I'll have to stay posted more often. But I thought you meant he met Charlie recently, because Charlie's in Saudi Arabia right now, so he definitely wouldn't have taken that picture today. Stephen said KDH had a relationship with Maresca. Look at him now. It's true. Why would Delap go back to Man City? He will be a second striker and Haaland will be the first, like always. Liverpool or Chelsea, he'll go. Depends on Salah if he goes to Saudi and if they have an opportunity to bring him in. But again, Salah's not the player to look at here because Salah's a winger. So really, we've got to look at Nunes, right? If they don't get rid of Nunes, then they'll just have 2 strikers. And Nunes already struggles for game time. So I think they're just bringing a winger. Why would they bring in another striker? Rachel wants Isak. I'm here for it. Isak would be a great one. He would fit what we're doing. He would definitely fit that. What will happen to the wages if we get back into the Champions League? If I'm not wrong, most of the players, their contracts, I think Cucurella is not on that contract. Who else is not on that contract? Reece James, Cucurella, Reece James, Wesley Fofana. Those are 3 of the players that I can think of off the top of my head that will not get a bump if we get Champions League football. But everybody else will get a 30% pay rise with Champions League football, as far as I'm aware. And that's a Clear Lake thing, not a Bowley thing. Bowley just gave them the money. So, yeah, that's a Clear Lake problem. But again, just to sort of go back to the financial situation that Chelsea are in, I know people may or may not have seen it. We'll just go through it quickly. We obviously reported a £128 million profit after the sale of the women's team. That's a pre-tax profit of 128.4 million in our financial results for the year ending June 2024. It's obviously a big improvement under the first full year of ownership, where we announced pre-tax losses of 90 million. Our revenue fell significantly from 512 million in 2023 to 468. And the main reason for that is Champions League football. But there are a number of things that the club did improve on, such as the disposal of player registrations worth 152 million and the repositioning of their highly successful women's team. So there's a restructuring and a long-term strategic plan for the women's team. For those of you who don't know what that is, this is what it is. So basically, the Chelsea women's team will be taken over by Newco this summer. So Chelsea sporting directors Winstanley and Stewart will continue to oversee football operations, but the women's team will be led by a new commercial leadership group to enable them to become a standalone business alongside the men's team and not underneath it. So when you think about Chelsea, it's always Chelsea and then Chelsea women. These are going to be totally separate entities. When you look at other clubs, it's not really like that. It's just part of the same package, isn't it? It's all Chelsea, it's all United, it's all City. But it's not like that now. That we've totally split them up, so that the Chelsea women's team can have dedicated resources, management, and commercial leadership focused solely on the growth of the women's team. It is believed there is a strong desire within the club to attract private investors to the women's team. Currently, any prospective investor in the WSL is required to go through the men's team. BDT and MSD Partners, an American global merchant bank, have worked with Chelsea as financial advisors on a potential minority investment into the club. And with further investment into infrastructure, training facilities, and player development alongside this new strategic evolution, Chelsea hope they will help cement their position as a leading force within the women's game. So that gives you a bit more of an idea of what's happening with the women's team. Going back to the men's team now. Why is it that there are some things that have gone up, even though we've obviously made less money? The Champions League broadcasting money is obviously extremely helpful. Matchday revenue increased to 80 million from 76 million. So it's gone up by about 4 million. Oh, I wonder why that's happened. Maybe it's because they pushed the season ticket prices up by 8% for people like myself. And in corporate hospitality, season ticket prices, or just ticket prices, full stop, went up by anywhere from 20 to 30%. I know that based on what people have told me, and I am aware of people in other seats. I just want to make sure I'm right. I'm going to read this out. My good friend Steve, what did they say they're doing to his? He said he sits in the Tambling Suite, and the hospitality price is going up 30% next season. He said, I've got a few bob, but I'm not paying those prices. He said he's been in the Tambling Suite for 4 years. The quality has gone down each year. The price has gone up each year too. Hopefully see you tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. He said we might just get a season ticket in the West Upper. Corporate will be going to up to £6,000 plus VAT. It's madness money. So, yeah, I mean, basically, a lot of fans are being priced out, but there are other people who are going to come in and just pay the money. So that's where you're seeing the match day revenue go up. Obviously, drinks are more expensive. Food is more expensive. Everything's more expensive, and the quality is not better. This is another thing to pay attention to. Commercial revenue also increased from 210 million to 225 million, so about a 15 million increase, due to an increase in player loan income and strong sales of non-match day activity, i.e. stadium tours, museum tours. I presume the merchandise might have something to do with that, but again, who knows? But the sale of the women's team was crucial to the fact that we actually came out and made any money. The position was strengthened because of the previous financial results by the sale of the 2 hotels. Those hotels were sold at 76.5 million, which made our loss in 22-23 89 million instead of 166 million. And you are capped at how much you can lose over a certain period, which is 105 million. So that's why that hotel sale was so important. Chelsea may have made an even greater gain with the sale of the women's team to Blueco. With that 2024 transaction worth either part of or all of the 198.7 million profit on disposal of subsidiaries mentioned in the club accounts. Now, I want to just go through this again. I said this earlier on. It's really important that we understand what a subsidiary is. Okay, what the hell is that, do you ask? This is what a subsidiary is. A company that is completely or partly owned and partly or wholly controlled by another company. So that's what a subsidiary, and Chelsea have been very good at selling those. Again, we're talking about the hotels. We're talking about the women's teams. We're talking about the training ground. We're talking about Kings Meadow, potentially, from the women's team. Those are all examples of subsidiaries, okay? Without that, Chelsea may have made a significant loss. In a season without the European football, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you get the point. All right, it all makes sense. So basically, Chelsea have apparently made money, even though our financial situation is absolutely not secure. And we are not in a position where we should be comfortable or feeling comfortable as a fan base. Just to make it very clear, guys, these guys are not putting their own money into the club, number one. Number two, the money that they borrow, because they borrow money, unlike Abramovich, is money that has interest. So they accumulate debt and they have to pay off the interest, okay? We took 700 million from the banks, okay? That interest will be paid over time, most likely, and then paid back by 2033, just 700 million. And then we borrowed a further 500 million from Ares, which is about 12-13% interest. That will accumulate. That's called subordinated debts. And basically, what's going to happen with that is the interest will accumulate over time, which means that unlike the bank interest where you can pay it as the time goes, subordinated debt adds up until you pay. And then when you pay, it's got to be in a lump sum. So 500 million is actually 1.7 billion when you have to pay it back. So you add 1.7 billion, 700 million from the banks. What's that? It's about 2.5 billion, 2.4, 2.5 billion. And that means that if we were to sell Chelsea for 2.5 billion, the owners would make nothing. So what do they value Chelsea at? What do they need Chelsea to be valued at by 2033? 4 billion? 5? 6? 7? Is that realistic? Is that going to happen? If the answer is no, then maybe that's why we're concerned. If the answer is yes, happy days. Chelsea's going to be fine. You're saying that we have money buying players before they blow up. If you add Datro, Jackson, Giu, Washington, and Kunku, possibly now, we could have just bought 2 very good centre forwards. You're absolutely right, mate. Absolutely right. But if you pay market value for these top players, you won't resell them for a profit. And that's why we don't buy them. Okay, that's why. Mark Giu can be sold on for a profit and will be sold for a profit. Washington would probably, I don't even know if he's still a Chelsea player. Didn't we sell him back or we loaned him? Like, we'll make profit on Washington, and Kunku we might not. Jackson we could end up making a profit on. We spent about 30 million for him. I think that you could probably make your money on him. Datro Fofana was less than 20 million. Again, you can make profit on that player. A number of loan spells and then a relatively small transfer fee. And Delap, so you are right in saying that it's a strange model, but that is how you maintain profitability. Because under Abramovich, we weren't profitable. We were successful, but we weren't profitable. And then you have to ask yourself the question, which I think most people already know, is what matters more? What matters more to me and you is obvious, but what matters more to the ownership, success or profit? I leave it there for you to think about. Right, what else have we got, guys? What else has been going? We've got about 7 minutes left in the show. Okay, Chelsea have been one of the 4 clubs, 4 Premier League clubs that have been monitoring Javi Simmons, who could be available for around 60 million this summer. And I think we can all agree that that will not happen. I don't think that will happen at all. They just paid a supreme amount of money to sign him. I swear to God that they paid more than 60 million for Javi Simmons. Am I right in saying that? How much did Leipzig pay for him? They paid a lot of money. Yeah, they paid between 62 million and 76 million. That's what they're saying. So why would anyone pick this guy up for 60 million? I mean, pounds. So yeah, maybe slightly more. But it's basically what they paid for him anyway. I don't see why. They've got no reason to sell the player unless they think they can still make a massive profit. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. But I don't think that will happen. I'm pretty confident that won't happen. Oh, God. More of this. More of this guy. Chelsea see Garnacho's talent and potential. Woo! Round of applause for Chelsea. Come on, Rachel. Little clap. There you go. Great recruitment strategy. This is what I'm talking about. See a player, they don't see what we see. They think he's crap, but we can see the vision. We can see the future. This is what we're paying for with Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. This is what you get with the levels of recruitment that Chelsea have employed. We don't see it. I don't see it. You don't see it. Man United fans don't see it, but they see it. Trust the process. Garnacho's coming back, baby. Oh, God. I'm so glad we didn't get that deal done in the end. I honestly thought to myself, I was like, Jesus Christ. Really? Garnacho, is that the levels that we're looking at now? Is that where we are as a club? Garnacho? I mean, it's not really my it's not for me, that. It's not for me. I'm not going to lie to you. Not for me. Oh, God. Yeah, no from me, guys. That's a big no from me. Garnacho, no thanks. Oh, there's another one. Jonathan David has been internally admired at Chelsea, as Sesko and Delap were mentioned again in the latest Athletic report. So that's to do with our striker situation. Garnacho would have the same effect as Sancho. True. You're not wrong there. We don't need him. Another kid for Chelsea. Yeah. So, look, we can dive more into the strikers tomorrow. We can look at that. We can look at Jonathan David. We can look at Sesko as well. Liam Delap, Osman. I mean, those are the three that I really want to look at, because those are three that I think will happen. Not that I'm saying that's what I want or that's what we need, but that is what I see happening. There are some deals that you just think, like, if we were the elite club that we were 5 years ago, this wouldn't even be a question. Osman would already be a Chelsea player. But unfortunately, that is no longer the case. We are just not there anymore. We are not elite like that. I'm not saying we're looking at the scraps, but we're not even entering conversations with players who don't want to fit our wage bracket. We're not even entering those negotiations. It's like, oh, 200 grand. Have a good day, mate. Don't even want to negotiate it. But again, we hear that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors, stuff that, I don't know about, stuff that you don't know about. And maybe that is the case. Maybe we're negotiating with Osman as we speak. But you look at the business that we did with those two young players from Sporting, Quenda and Asugo. We got those deals done awfully quickly, didn't we? So why are we able to do that? But when it comes to the top established players, we're not able to do the same thing. And that is where you have to say to yourself, maybe it is that our directors are able to get things done, but it just has to be on a certain criteria, which the ownership doesn't allow them to meet. I'm sure they could sign Osman if they wanted to, but then you have to look at it and say, Are they being given the tools to go out and sign him? Are they being told you are not paying more than 150 grand for this player? So that's what I ask you guys. And absolutely, Kobe Mano, no chance. I mean, that's a crazy rumor. I don't want to see that at all. Guys, we've got almost 60 of you in the building. Smash the like button. Let's get up to 60 likes on the stream. If you haven't already liked the stream, please do. It helps support the channel. It shows us that you're enjoying the content and it encourages us to continue making content. Really appreciate your time, guys. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. And if you want to help out a little bit more, you can join the Chelsea Fan TV membership as well and support in a different way. But listen, really appreciate your time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. And I'll be back with you tomorrow at lunchtime. So we'll catch up very soon. All the best, guys, and speak soon.